This is the power of AI, y'all. We're going to be able to create a full-blown ebook with mid-journey images, copy created by AI, have it all connected into one PDF that we can start selling. Sound good? Let's check it out. Building the variables for this form, and all we're gonna have to do is hit submit and get our entire ebook. Hit submit, and then everything's gonna work. And here we go. Our full-blown ebook is ready to go in PDF format. By the end of today's video, you're gonna be able to create an ebook on any topic all automatically with artificial intelligence. To do so, we're going to need a couple softwares. The first one being Zapier. The second one will be Bannerbear. This is going to allow us to create it in an ebook format. And finally, we're going to go the extra mile here. We're going to include images in this ebook as well. So if that all sounds good, let's jump into today's video. Welcome back, y'all. Today's video is pretty cool. We're going to be able to create any type of book we would want to. We're going to get all the text associated with the book. We're also going to get images for the book. We're going to show you how to export the entire process so we get a final point of a PDF we can read. And before we jump into today's video is sponsored by Zapier, and they basically hit me up and they're like, hey, Corbin, we want to do a bunch of cool stuff. So I'm here. You're going to see a bunch of cool stuff we can do with Zapier in the following weeks. Sound good? Let's jump in. Let's start off by creating our zaps. We're going to hit create new zap. The trigger for this zap is going to be pretty easy here. All we're going to do is simply create a Google form. The purpose of this Google form is going to give context of the type of book we want to create. So we're going to simply do this. Google form. With Google form selected here, we'll do the trigger event of new form response. We're going to select our account here, hit continue, and then find our form. So right now we have ebook generator. Before we continue, let's go ahead and fill out that form. I'm going to go and fill it out real quick. I'm going to give you the example questions I'm going to personally ask, but obviously you can do whatever you want with your form. The strategy I suggest you use is going to be one that you create a form specific to the genre, right? Because you want to ask genre specific questions. So let's just say we're going to make a book about a fantasy world. Therefore, my questions that I'm going to input here are going to be, what is the setting of your fantasy world? What are the rules of magic and supernatural elements? Who are the main characters and what are their motivations? What is the central conflict or problem the characters must resolve? What themes do you want to explore in the fantasy book? And the last one I have here is, what do you want the readers to take away from the book? Obviously, if you're doing a different genre, you'd ask different questions. A fitness book would be entirely different than this. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. Just as an example, let's go ahead and read some of the inputs I have. So what is the setting of your fantasy world? A group of floating islands in the sky connected by old bridges and traveled by magical creatures. What is the central conflict or problem your characters must resolve? They must stop a forgotten magic from tearing the islands apart and destroying life. And then what do we take away from the book? That all life is connected and sometimes we have to make sacrifices to protect what we love. Idea here, though, is give context in your book, as this is going to put the direction that we want to create our automatic ebook to go. Sound good? Create this form. Let's connect it. For test data, I'm going to hit submit. So do one submit with me. Coming back to my Zap here, I'm going to go ahead and rename it to auto ebook. And here's the best part. I should be able to share this in the description down below so you can click it and start using it. Say auto ebook creator. So coming back over here, we should hit continue, and then we should see example test data. Form a response. And here we go. This is what we put in. Good start. So now that we have all the test data to play around with, let's set up some other parts of how we're going to create this book, which would be the book itself and the structuring of the book. In order to do that, we're going to come over to Bannerbear. So create an account with Bannerbear. Once you're in Bannerbear, we're going to come up here to projects. I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to call this ebook template. Now, this could be ebook template for fantasy, ebook template for cooking, whatever it may be. Obviously, go with the name that you like. Hit save. So we're going to go ahead and just delete this template, because the idea here is we need to create a template that is going to be for an ebook. E.g., the sizing has to be correct and the structuring has to be correct. So we're going to say create a template. Now they're going to give us square and all these other ones. We're going to say custom. For this example, we'll assume high quality print and obviously just simply put in a conversion calculator here. This is going to go from inches to pixels. So this is requesting pixels. I'm going to do a 5-inch by 8-inch book here, but in pixels, high quality print, which in this context is a width of 1,500 and a height of 2,400. Save. With this, we're almost there. So what we got to do here is edit template. We're going to go ahead and rename this template to book template, save template. And here's the situation. We currently have the first page of a possible book. Actually, instead of book template, we're going to name this book cover. This is going to be the cover of our book. So do book cover here, save template, exit editor, and then we'll go ahead and create another template here. So I'm just going to duplicate this. We'll say duplicate template. In this duplication here, we're going to say edit template, and we'll say book page 1. Save template. Now, as this gets lengthy, we can create template sets here, but the purpose of this video is to show you the potential of automation and AI. So right now, for book cover, we're going to have to add some stuff here. We're going to edit. Don't judge a book by its cover. From here, we're going to go ahead and add a new layer. We can go with image rectangle. There's a bunch of different stuff we can go here. I'm going to jump over here, y'all. But let's just say, let's keep it simple. Obviously, spend as much time as you want in this design process stage, just showing you what's possible here. Let's go with image circle. And this is going to be an image of our cover here. So we'll do like this. And then let's say we'll move this up a little bit here. And let's add another layer here. Let's put text. So then we'll put a text up down here. there. We can obviously edit all the different styling, et cetera, but I'm just showing you how to automate this, y'all, so you can do the design part. We're going to rename this. We're going to say cover image. Now, in theory, we could have it so this image covers the entire book, etc. From here, though, we're going to go ahead and do the next layer here. We're going to say book title. Book title. There we go. We got our book title here. And then from here, we're going to save template. Exit editor. With our book cover done here, we can come over to book page 1. In book page 1, we're going to hit edit template. This is what you want to do. Every single book, if you skim through a book, just skim through it real quick. A lot of pages are very similar. A lot of pages are identical, if not. And the idea, at least identical in the sense of structuring, right? So the idea here is this. However you want to structure your book, have base templates of like, I would probably say 30% of the pages are going to have this structuring. Is the image going to be up here? The text going to be down here? Is this going to be like Harry Potter where it's just a bunch of text? Whatever it may be, this is where structuring comes into play. So for example, let's say for this book, we have image rectangle. And the way we're structuring this book is that the image is up here. And then down here is the text. So this is like one of the pages, one of the page types. So for this one, we'll rename it to top image. For the text here, we're going to go ahead and rename it to paragraph. With that done, we can go ahead and actually set, how we want our text to look. Because obviously we don't want size 50. Maybe we want standard text size of like 14, maybe a little bit bigger. So we'll go with 24. There we go. You can choose the weight. So maybe this is too thick. Okay, there we go. Put it right there and kind of proceed from here. So we can just go and expand this entire box here. So we fill up all this text here. So far, so good. Save template. Once you see how these dots connect, it's all going to become very clear to you of how this all works in the sense of automatically doing it. As this will become more clear, you can get way more in depth in the design part of this. I'm just trying to show you the tech part and the functionality part. So now that that's been done, let's connect it to Zapier. To do so, we're going to come over to actions here. We're going to Bannerbear. And I've done a lot of Bannerbear videos, so you can check out this channel. But I'm going to hit connect new account. We are then prompted to provide a project API key. Okay, Bannerbear. In your project, you're going to come up here to settings and API. This is going to be blurred out for obvious reasons. You're going to grab the project API key right here and hit copy. Then we'll paste it in here and say yes and continue. Once you paste in the key and you connect it, you'll notice that it's actually named correctly, Bannerbear ebook template, in the right place. What you'll notice is that we have options here of create collection, generate image, create animated GIF. The context of lengthy projects, you'll do create collection. What I'm going to show you in today's video is going to be create image. Now, don't worry. This isn't actually going to be an image. We're going to make this a PDF. But for now, let's move on to the next step here. I'm going to leave this in the description down below, but we're going to go ahead and connect Go API, but specifically Midjourney. If you don't know what Midjourney is, it's a really, really powerful tool at AI image generation, especially for quality. So let's do it. We're going to try API for free. You'll be prompted to log in with your GitHub account. If you don't have a GitHub account, don't worry. It's free. Just create one. Authorize. You'll then be prompted with your API key. Make sure to copy it. Put it somewhere in your notes. It won't show up again. So copy this. Once you do that, simply come up here to Midjourney API. And we're almost there. We got to set up here. So how do we translate this over to Zapier? Also, this is going to show people how to connect Midjourney to Zapier as well, which is cool. Don't worry. This might look confusing. I'll make this as simple as possible so you can just follow along. All we need to do to test if this works is we're going to add a block here. It's going to be a Zapier webhook block. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I include a Google Doc in the description down below. Simply click that link. It's going to give you all the code that you're about to see right now. On top of that, every automation you'll see in today's video, we'll put in the description down below as well so you can click it, add it to your project. And finally, if you still run into issues, I suggest you use a software like BumpUps that allows you to take a video like this and ask any question. Okay, all that out of the way, let's do it. So we're going to use Webhooks by Zapier. We're going to do a custom request as our event. Configure. This is going to be a post method. What this means basically is that we're sending it a message. We're like, hey, we need a Midjourney image. From here, we're going to put in this URL right here. This URL is the URL that we saw in the other documentation. Put that in. Next, you're going to use this code block here, which you can go ahead and copy from that Google Doc. And let me just explain some stuff here. So first off, what model are we using to create this image? It's going to be Midjourney. Second off, what are we doing? What's the task? What's happening? The way they say create image for this API is just imagine. Don't ask me why. Next part, the input. What do we want to imagine? We're going to do prompt of wizard on surfboard. We're going to do the aspect ratio 16:9. This could be 1:1 as well. Process mode, we'll do fast. Skip prompt check, we'll say false. If you're wondering where I got all those different variables and all that information from, that just comes right here. So as you can see, the default aspect ratio is 1:1. Okay, with that done then, we need to go ahead and send the end result somewhere. E.g., once this is done creating the image, where does that data go? Where does that image go? Therefore, you need to create a new Zapier automation. The whole purpose of this Zapier automation is to get the images that come out of this Zapier automation, e.g. the one photo that will generate here. The endpoint, which is going to be the webhook URL, is going to be right here. This is going to be a trigger event. So we're going to choose webhook again, catch hook. For configuration, leave that empty. For test, at first, you're going to get nothing because no data exists. What you'll notice is that over here, we're going to go ahead and grab this URL, copy, and paste it right there, right here. Make sure there is no comma after this, as that will ruin the code. Just trust. From here, this works. If you put it in, you're having issues, like what's going on, Corbin, just copy exactly what you see here. Now, finally, the most important part is that API key that we had earlier that we created together in Go API. What I want you to do is obviously have that in your notes, but copy this header parameter here. Copy x-api-key. Simply put that in your header. And then here, don't put dashes, paste your entire key there. Once it's pasted in, test the action, and it should work. This will take around 20 seconds, 30 seconds to generate the image. So you're going to keep hitting like retest step until like some data is found. But once data is found, it'll show up here. Request A. Okay. With this, we can go ahead and actually check out the image. So what we care about is the one called data output image URL. Copy that, paste it in a new tab. Here we go. Step 1's done for creating images with Midjourney. Now, the next step comes like, Corbin, there's 4 of them. We don't want 4. That's fine. Let's solve that. Also, this is a wizard on a surfboard. Hashtag wizard on a surfboard. Put it in the comments. So once we do that, in order for us to do only one of those images, right now the way the API works, or our ability to generate images in this context, is we have to upscale one of them. But that's good regardless. We want the most high quality image. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create another webhook. With this webhook, another custom request. Configure. Here, another post. We're sending something again. Same URL. And then this is the data associated with this webhook. With its entire purpose being we're using the same model, we're upscaling, making the quality better. So we go from SD to HD, 360p to 720p. You know what I mean? Next, we got to put in the input. What are we upscaling, Corbin? We are upscaling data task ID. And what that comes from is if you click this, plus this comes from the original webhook, the catch hook, the one at the trigger. You just come down here, or as Copilot suggests, we're doing data task ID. It should look very similar to this string right here. Not like the same, but like dash, crazy numbers, dash, crazy characters, etc. Once you do that, we have the choice of index. What index does in this context is we have a choice between 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, in reality, when you're building these ebooks out at scale, there isn't going to be a lot of discretion here. So just choose one. For me, I chose 1. We'll proceed in that way. Next, we need to send the high resolution version of this image somewhere else. So that comes into play with another webhook here. So create another Zapier automation. This one's going to be book image ready. Catch hook. So we're going to use the webhook found here. Copy it again. Come over here. Paste it there. Same situation with the API key. Paste in your actual API key. And we are pretty good here. So what you'll notice is that the request A, when we receive data from this, if I go to the data output here and I open a new tab, we have a high quality version of 1, e.g. that one, but just 1 image. That part's a little complex. I'll make sure to leave resources in the description down below. Also bump ups to let you talk to this video and help you out there. Let's move to the next part. We now have the ability to create images. Cool. We now have the ability to create structured out PDFs. Cool. Now let's actually create a book. So for now, I'm going to delete this Bannerbear block because we're actually not going to be using it here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have to set up a layering effect here. This can get very long, but the idea is this. First off, we need to establish the structuring and the direction of our book based off the data received from this Google form. Therefore, add a step. ChatGPT. In order to integrate ChatGPT, that's very simple. Just make an account on OpenAI dashboard, grab the API key. Zapier makes it easy where you just paste over the key. Okay, from here, conversation. We're going to select your account here. Got some information here, got some stuff to look at here, but don't worry. We're going to go GPT-4 Mini, really solid artificial intelligence here for very cost-effective prices. I mean, we've improved a lot in a couple of years when it comes to AI. From here, though, let's put in our user message. Here is our prompt so far. I'm going to explain it, and then we're going to input some data here. Based on the context of this book, and then you see the questions that we asked in the form again, right? We're going to fill that in with some real data here. And then at the very end, we're going to say generate an entire table of contents for this book with each chapter being a new line. Sound good? Let's go and fill in this data. What is the setting of your fantasy world? Okay, we're grabbing this from the Google form. Therefore, let's go and answer it. What is the setting of your fantasy world? Click that. There's our answer. What are the rules of magic and supernatural elements? What are the rules of magic and supernatural elements? Click that. There's your answer. We're doing this so that every single time we fill out this form with different pieces of data, we get different books, different topics, etc. keep filling it out. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. For reference, it's not gonna be able to see the one dot, what is the setting of your fantasy world. The only data it's gonna read is the A group and then so on and so forth. That's why we repeat the question here. But knowing this, we need the structuring of our entire book here, right? This is how we're gonna reference it. Let's do like table here of book. Memory keys ensure consistent outputs at scale. Basically, it's going to ensure that this works every time once we get a good output here. Continue, test step. Don't forget that memory key. Random string of 32 characters. That could have been anything. So here we go. We got 1 through 27 here of a table of contents. And what you might be asking yourself, with each chapter being a new line, what do you mean, Corbin? I mean that we need to have each one on its own line. And the reason why is because now we're going to do a formatter block by Zapier here that's going to be able to allow us to segment this data into different areas for the chapter. Don't worry, this will make sense. Let's proceed. We're going to add a new block here. Do formatter by Zapier. With this, we're going to do text because we are manipulating text here. With this, we're going to do transform. We're going to do split text. Here, we're going to do the input of the previous output from ChatGPT there, conversation, reply. Separator is going to be, as we identified before, new line, which in Zapier's documentation, the way we do that is new line like this. Segment index is extremely important, all as separate fields. Continue, test this step. There you go. As you'll notice here, we have each one as its own little line here. Now, if you don't want to do it this way, we can approach this logic differently, maybe more reliably as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do another ChatGPT block. And we will do an action event conversation again. And with this, we're gonna go ahead and continue. And we're gonna create some logic here where its sole purpose is to only extract data from that previous output that is relevant for the next part. So what I mean by that, and you can utilize this in any context, is we're gonna say based on this table of contents, semicolon, provide the parentheses here, and then we're going to input that previous output from ChatGPT. Click this, conversation, reply. We'll set it so that it only identifies chapter 1. Generate an output that is just the text for chapter 1. And then we're going to do a memory key here, random string here, hit continue, and then we should only get from this output here the floating aisles test step. So what this allows you to do basically is that you can set up these little blocks here before every single chapter of the flow you're about to see right now, to identify the content we're about to create right now. So we messed up a little bit here. It went ahead and actually just did the extra step here of creating the chapter itself. But I don't want to do that. You could do that, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to do format. I'm going to say format. Just output the chapter name, no words before or after. No words before or after that specific dictation. Definitely utilize that, as that is very important in Zapier automations, especially when it comes to ChatGPT outputs. And boom, chapter 1, the floating aisles. We'll rename this ChatGPT block to chapter select. And proceed here. This one we'll rename to table of contents. Okay, so far so good. Add another step here. ChatGPT. We're gonna go to conversation here. Hit continue. 2 major things we're gonna do here. So when we are actually creating the chapters here, we're gonna leverage user message, but we're also gonna leverage the assistant instructions. So first off, let's set up the assistant instructions. Delete this. Coming up here to our table of contents, go ahead and drag your mouse and copy all of this. In assistant instructions, paste it. What this is, y'all, this is like we're preloading our ChatGPT assistant here to identify and understand the context of the book. Therefore, context of book, semicolon. And what we can do here is, as we keep going with this logic, we could get a little bit fancy here. And you'll see what I mean. For now, we're just going to do this. On the title of this chapter, semicolon, parentheses, put in the title from the previous output, chapter select, reply, and generate the entire chapter. Now, this is up to y'all. I'm just going to put that because my purpose and what I want to show you today is how to do this and actually create an automatic ebook. So I'm not going to get too fancy with the prompts here. It's kind of where you come into play. Play around with it. Tone, style, write it like Harry Potter, write it like 44 Laws of Power, whatever it may be, put it there. Let's keep going though. Memory key, random string, continue, and watch this. So here we go. We got chapter 1. And then all of its relevant information. And just so you can see that the assistant instructions work, notice how it's referencing magic here. It knows it, it loads that, it proceeds with that. All right, next block. So with that done here, we can add another block here, which is going to be for chapter 2, but you're going to notice a little bit of a sandwiching effect here. So this is why I show you what I show you. We're going to hit duplicate here. With this, we're going to go ahead and add it here, delete this. And for here, we can rename chap to select. For reference, Zapier automations can get very long. We're talking up to 80, 100, very long in context of blocks. So instead of looking for chapter 1 there, now we're looking for chapter 2. Continue, retest step, and we should see chapter 2. Boom. Now with that, let's add a block before our chapter 2 select here. So what I'm going to do is actually delete this. And here is what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this because the prompt is similar. And we're going to do summarizer 1, which is summarizing chapter 1. Why are we doing that, Corbin? You'll find out very soon here. Based on chapter 1, and we'll put in chapter 1 here from the previous input reply, we are just going to do this. So we're going to do generate a summary that would be relevant and needed for the next chapter to understand. So they are connected. This is where the magic comes into play. Not a play on words there because this is a magic book, but the idea is we can create an actual book from start to finish that connects, and very long as well. So when we take all that data, we're going to compress it into 3 paragraphs. Sweet. Chapter 2 select. Looking good. Let's go ahead and duplicate chapter 1 done. Coming down here, we're going to go ahead and do chapter 1 done. We're going to rename this to chapter 2 done. The data for the title of the chapter, we're going to go ahead and input because it's not 1 anymore. It is chapter 2. That is the new title. Generate the entire chapter. That stays. And here is where the magic comes into play. Context of book. Give context of the book. And then here is where we go. Context of chapter 1. Semicolon, parentheses. And then we are going to provide that summary that we just got from chapter 1. Magic's at play. Summarize. Reply. So now, continue. And also, side note, if you want longer outputs, increase the max tokens. That's how many words come out. Continue, retest step. And now we're creating a chapter 2 that's based off chapter 1, that's based off contextually of an entire book. There we go. Chapter 2. So let's put a bow on this. Let's say for each chapter, we want an image. And let's just say we'll do it for chapter 1 for now. Let's come up to chapter 1 done. And with chapter 1 done, if we remember correctly, this Zapier webhook, what it does is it creates an image, right? So we're going to go ahead and say image generator. We actually don't need to know too specifically which chapter, but for now we'll do image generator 1. And this is going to get a little crazy, y'all, but don't worry. I'll be here to help, plus all the other stuff I mentioned before. After chapter 1 done, we actually need to pass this data elsewhere. And the reason we need to pass this data elsewhere is because of the fact that there is a latency that occurs with the actual image generation. E.g., when you generate an image, it takes 20-30 seconds. Therefore, we can't really do this entire flow in one Zapier. So after chapter 1 done, we're going to do something called a storage block in Zapier. Storage by Zapier. This action event is going to be to create a value. Set child value. Continue. This child value is going to be associated and grabbed upon in different Zapier automations. Therefore, we're going to do chap_1. Name this however you want. This is how we're going to reference it. And then the actual value, I'm going to just name the same thing, chap1. And then the insert value is going to be the entire chapter 1 being done. This will make more sense as we go with this video. Continue, test step, stored it. Just do that, trust. That'll make more sense. So once that's done though, we're gonna go ahead and create another ChatGPT block. This ChatGPT block is gonna be a conversation again. Continue, and we'll say image prompt. Because basically we need to make an image for this. What does chapter 1 look like? For the image prompt, we're gonna do a user message. We're gonna say based on this chapter, semicolon. And what's great here, y'all, is we can actually provide that summary we had earlier, right? Hit plus button here and hit the summary, which actually is right here. So we're going to go ahead and move this up here. There we go. Put it right here. Summarize 1. You could do the entire chapter, but there's no real reason why you need to. And we'll put it right here. I'm going to go ahead and say generate a 1-sentence prompt I can use to make an image for this chapter. Random memory key. Like before, continue test step. We should see 1 sentence here that we could use. Okay, this is pretty long here. Almost too long. So let me go ahead, and it could be that long if you wanted to. I'm going to say max 10 words. But I want to show you little tricks like that, right? Max 10 words. Okay, what does that mean, Corbin? That's how you shorten outputs if it gets too crazy on you. Lyra, Kale, enter the magical whispering grove. Good to me. Coming up here, though, we can go ahead and actually just duplicate this. So we're going to say duplicate. Come all the way up here. And what we'll do, put it right there, and we'll rename this cover. The purpose of this one is not obvious. It's going to say based on this table of contents, we'll increase this to 20. And then we're going to put in the table of contents. Plus again, and then the reply here. Generate a 1-sentence prompt that I can use to make an image for this chapter. Max 20 words. Continue. New memory key. Test step. A mage stands on a floating isle, gazing regretfully at ancient ruins beneath him, swirling magical sky. Pretty good. All right, so now that we have that, let's apply a little additional logic here. First, you need to identify the way we're doing the storage value as shown earlier. You're going to do that for every single chapter. In addition, you'll be doing this for the table of contents. So this is going to be data you want to pass to the actual book itself that is necessary for the book itself. Coming down here to this webhook here, we're going to duplicate this. We're going to come up here to the prompt that we made for cover. In this webhook, we're going to go ahead and name it to cover maker, or just cover image. With that, we're going to do configure. Everything is the same. So what's nice is you can just duplicate these webhooks so you don't have to keep typing it out because that can get annoying. Then all you need to do is simply, if you want different aspect ratio, proceed, go to the prompt, hit add, and guess what? We made a prompt, which is that. Everything else is set. Everything else is good. Step 1 done on that. So coming down here then, what we'll do, so with this webhook, same deal. This is going to be the image for chapter 1. Therefore, come down here for this prompt, delete it, and then add this image. So image prompt, the one before, reply. Okay, so that's all set. You kind of know the flow there. What these webhooks do, if we remember, is this will send, and we're going to catch it with another Zapier automation. This Zapier's automation, its only purpose to upscale images. E.g., the webhook, here's something. The data comes in. Remember, we set that in the other webhook, the little URL. Once we get the data that comes in, we'll be able to reference this data output URL right here. Pretty nice. So all you need to know to do is that once you set up one of these, just test a step. For example, let's go to our cover image here. I retest the step. So once we hit test there, it's going to send that data. And by the way, if you get like a 500 error, that just means you have to add billing to that API that you saw earlier. Add your credit card, proceed. Then we come over to our upscale image Zapier automation here. And we're going to keep hitting find new record. And there we go. It shows up. This will take 20 seconds, 30 seconds, hit it. So what you'll notice here is that we have the original input and then the image URL right there. Pretty good for a cover. I like it. So with this, what this will do is that it's going to grab that data. It's going to click off, and then it's going to send it to upscale it. So we already set this up earlier. There we go. If I test this step, retest, it's going to send that data. And then that data is going to jump over here, which is going to be the book image ready. The sole purpose of this data here is just to make it ready. So we're going to receive, which you'll notice from this catch hook here, we're going to receive a record B here. Find new record, record B. There we go. Check the image. Boom. Here's the next step. We need to ensure we know where the image goes. Is it the cover? Is it chapter 2? Is it chapter 20? So this is how we're going to do it. Everything's going to stay the same. But we're going to come to our webhooks with the prompt. You're going to add a dash and then whatever it is. This context, dash cover book. For the chapter 1 image, dash chapter 1. Proceed in that way. Dash chapter 5, etc. So now when we receive it in our first webhook series, which is the one upscaling the image, what we have to do is grab that variable. So we're going to use a conversation by ChatGPT. In this conversation, we're going to simply ask, format this text, and we're going to provide the data input prompt, the prompt that we got from it. I just want the text after quotation marks, dash. That's all, no words before or after. With this, we'll get a reply of chapter 1. Now for this next step, because of the fact that we can't pass this data around easily between the webhooks, we have to do a little bit of a workaround. So we're going to set another storage variable here. This will all make sense once it all connects, but all you need to know for now is we need a unique identifier for this storage variable. So we're going to do run code by Zapier. In the configurations, we're going to do the input data of workload. You can call this anything. And this will be the data task ID. And the reason this is the data task ID that comes from this webhook right here is because we're going to use that same ID in the outgoing webhook. Therefore, this allows us to use the data of chapter 1 in the final part of this process of making the image ready. Let's do that. I'll make sure I leave that code in the Google Doc, but all you need to do is put data task ID, and we need to strip it to only 32 characters. And that's just because when we do storage variables, they only allow that limit. So once we do this output here, nothing changes except it just gets shorter. Spliced workload. With this, we're going to do storage by Zapier, set child variable, configure. We're going to put in the key of spliced workload, what we got from that JavaScript block, and then we're going to just basically say what part the book is. Book part, chapter 1, from that reply that we got in the second block here. Now that we set that, everything else is the same. We're still setting the data the same way. We're good to go. Let's upscale it. Perfect. Once we've upscaled it, we come to this automation that's going to catch that. We're going to get the relevant data found here. And what you'll notice is that in this request, so if I scroll down here, it's the data input origin. We use that. So we're going to run that code again, exact same code to get the key. We'll do data input origin task ID, same code as before. Then we're going to do storage by Zapier again, but instead of setting a value, we're going to get the value. Configuration, we're going to use that splice workload that we got from step 2. And then the child key is what we named it before, which is book part. That's all we need. Test this step, and there we go. We got chapter 1 right here. So how we're going to use this is how we're going to name the file when we store it. So go to the Google Drive here, upload file, configure, choose a folder. I'm going to do Zapier Book Creator. I'm going to choose my file from data output image URL found in block 1, and then file name, which is going to be the storage key that we got here, which in this context is just chapter 1 _ image. Hit continue, test this step, and watch this. Boom. We get our image that we're going to be able to use in our book, and it's named correctly of chapter 1 _ image. So we're going to be able to reference that later on when we create this all together. So all this logic works together and it's good. Let's go ahead and wrap up this auto ebook creator so we can get into our last automation here. If I scroll down here, obviously when you get this and you add it to your profile, just look at the blocks. A lot of this is duplication. Recognize for chapter 1, we're saving the entire chapter in a storage block. For every single chapter, we're doing that webhook to get the upscaled version of the image. Once we're done, once we're satisfied, once we have like 20 chapters, 30 chapters, however many we want, we're going to end it. And the way we're going to end it, don't get mad at me, is with another webhook by Zapier. But this one's going to be 2 different webhooks communicating with each other. So we're going to do the action event of custom request. Before we do this, let's go ahead and create that other Zapier. This one, we're going to go ahead and call make the book. Okay. And then we're going to do a trigger event of webhook here. And this is going to be a catch hook. Continue. We're going to go ahead and make sure we have this webhook ready for the code we're about to put in here. We're going to do the method of post here because we're sending data for the URL. That'll be the one we just have here. Copy, paste. For the data, for now, we'll just put in a simple boolean here of saying book process done true. And then to see if this works, we're going to continue, test the step, and then this one should receive that. There we go. True. Now, what's cool about this is that in theory, we could send other data associated with this Zapier automation to this webhook if we wanted to. But for now, this is sufficient. Now, here's what I suggest you do. So obviously there is a lot of going on here. This is complex logic. So what I suggest you to do, because of the amount of AI we're producing in the sense of the actual content and the images going on, etc., add a delay block here, give it some space. These are asynchronous actions, e.g. they're all firing off in different areas. I'd add a delay block here of, give it like 5 minutes, etc. For now, I'm not going to add that, but I would suggest you do that. If you don't want to do that, I would test it without it, see if it works. The idea here is this, though. Once we go through this entire process that you see here from start to finish, we're going to fire off the final webhook here, which is going to fire off everything. And we're like, hey, we've created all of our content when it came to the paragraphs and text associated with the book. We've also created all the images with our book. We're good to go. Let's create the book. Let's do it. First thing you need is everything you would want in a book. So we're going to reference that Google Drive folder. Before we do that, I'm going to real quickly create a cover image as well. So this all is tied up. Here we go. We got our cover image now, and we got chapter 1. Let's proceed. To get started here with the Google Drive block, we're going to do find multiple files. Come here to configure. For the folder type, we are going to choose just the entire folder. So for me, that's Zapier Book Creator. Nothing else has to be filled here. Continue, test step. This will print out all the relevant images here, such as chapter 1 image.png. Perfect. On to the next step. So when this automation runs and you have like 20 images there, we get all the chapters. Next thing you're going to want is going to be the storage block. Storage by Zapier. Remember, in the very first automation we did together here, we set a child variable, which was going to be chapter 1. Come back to that, and your key is chapter 1, whatever you said it was. So we come in here, instead of setting a child, we're getting a child. Get child value. Continue. Key is chap 1, like we saw earlier, and then the child key is chap 1 as well. From here, we're going to continue, test the step, and this is going to be that output of the first chapter. Looking good. Now you know the process of how this is going to work. Let's combine it. We're going to do Bannerbear. Within Bannerbear, we're going to do an action event. We're going to do create image. Make sure to select the correct account here. It should have the name of your project, ebook template. From here, we're going to do template ID. We got a choice here, book cover or book page 1. Self-explanatory. We're going to start the book cover. And I realized I forgot to get the title in the other output here, but that would just be another ChatGPT block of based off the table of contents. Give me a good title for the book. But we know it's for wizards, and it's about an island in the sky. So we'll do wizards and islands. From the image here, we can actually grab from our Google Drive. And actually, in order for us to do this effectively, I could either format the files found here, or we can just do one-off blocks. Let's try one-off blocks. And what I mean by that is, let's come back over here to set up. We're actually going to do find file. Within find file, we're just going to simply put in the name. So for example, cover_image. Continue, test step. Perfect. Got our image here. Now we'll come here and we'll rename this to create cover. Zoom in a little bit. For the image URL, we're going to add this. I believe it's the file exists but not shown, but I might be wrong. So we'll have to see here. I know that in this actual folder itself, we have to make it publicly accessible. So we're going to hit share. I'm going to say anyone with the link. Save. We're going to make sure that's actually editor as well. This is so Bannerbear can access it. Okay, let's try this. I may need to change that. And then we're going to get the option here for whether making it a PDF or not. Of course, we want to make this true. Continue, test step. We got an output here. You're going to scroll down and you're going to go to PDF URL. Take this link, paste it in another URL or tab. And here we go. I know my design is not amazing, but obviously you can spend more time in Bannerbear to do that. We got our image. We got our title. Let's do chapter 1. Chapter 1, let's make our lives easy here. We're going to duplicate this. And the purpose of this one will be for chapter 1, specifically the image. Coming over to configure here, we'll put in chapter 1. With that done, we'll simply hit continue here, test this step. We'll duplicate this Bannerbear here, and we'll make this chapter 1. In chapter 1, we need to also have the text. So we can go ahead and just grab this little storage block here, drag it down. Now that we have everything that we need for chapter 1, we're going to configure here. For the template ID, instead of book cover, we'll do page 1. For basic, it's fine. For the paragraph text, we already know where that's coming from. That's coming from the child block here, right there. Boom. And then the top image URL will be the image that we found in the image block here. Looking for URL. So we file exists but not shown. Remove extra fields. This is from the previous block. PDF true. Continue. Test that. Now to be clear, the formatting is not going to be amazing, but I just wanted to show you how to connect all this because connecting all of it is very complex in itself. I think in the design part, you got to take more time on, but let's check it out. Coming over to PDF URL, open a new tab. Actually, not that bad. So we got our top image here, like we did before. And then coming down here, we have our copy and our sentence. Using Bannerbear, you can structure this so the sentence and the copy and the way the text shows up is a lot more effective than this. But I mean, so far, so good, yo. This is all automated. Pretty cool. All right, so once we've created our book and we're satisfied, let's add one less step here, or a couple more. We're going to do another Bannerbear block here. We're going to do join PDF files. Continue. PDF inputs here are going to be the ones we just received. So therefore, we're going to go to create cover, scroll down, PDF URL, and then we'll add the other one, chapter 1, PDF URL. Hit continue, and let's test the step. And then we get the output here of join URL, and look at this, y'all. Look at this. Boom. Got a cover, and then we got our first chapter. That's pretty cool. Put a cherry on the top. Let's go and save it. We're going to come down here to upload file. Continue. With upload file here, we're going to go ahead and choose the file that we just created, which is going to be step 7, join PDF files. This is going to be the PDF, join PDF URL. We can do a bunch of other stuff if you choose to do so. We can add a name, wizards, and then continue, test this step. And I needed to add a folder. My bad. Add a folder just so it doesn't get lost. Continue, test this step. And boom, we've officially created an ebook automatically with artificial intelligence. Make sure to stay with me as I'm going to do another video here showing you how to make this into an audiobook, like an actual audiobook where it is read out loud and we're good to go. This will be the next video on this topic here, so make sure to check it out. But what fun would that be if I didn't show you from start to finish how this looks and how fast it works? So in order to get this going, y'all, let me just go ahead and just add a real quick title to this so it works. We'll just put awesome title. Now let's get going here. It's going to be a lot. We're going to go to our first automation here, publish. We're going to go to our second automation here, publish. Third automation, publish. And finally, fourth automation, publish. With all of these published, y'all, I'm going to come back to my folder here. I'm just going to delete all this. We don't need it anymore. We're going to go ahead and do this fresh. This is the power of AI, y'all. We're going to be able to create a full-blown ebook with mid-journey images, copy created by AI, have it all connected into one PDF that we can start selling. Sound good? Let's check it out. Build in the variables for this form, and all we're going to have to do is hit submit and get our entire ebook. A lost valley filled with dense jungles, towering cliffs, and roaming dinosaurs of every kind. Hit submit, and then everything's going to work. Oh, we got our images. We got the cover. Pretty nice. We got chapter 1. Oh, this is cool. And here we go. Our full-blown ebook is ready to go in PDF format. This one was about dinosaurs. And we got our first chapter here, which is looks super cool, y'all. We got the text here, and then we got the image here. Now, obviously, you can change how that looks, right? We can go back to Bannerbear. If you want your title or your cover page to look different, change it. If you want your first book page to look different, change it. However you want it to look, now you know how to make fully automated ebooks with AI, automation, and everything above the board. If you feel like you learned something, make sure to leave a like. It's completely free. Make sure to stay tuned for this channel. Subscribe here as I'm going to do a follow-up video on this topic showing you how to create audiobooks automatically with artificial intelligence. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next video. It's an ebook, digital book. Those are 2 random videos. That's my face. I'll see you in the next video.